21-7 into the locker room over the 49ers on the road, seeking their 8th win and trying to bounce back. The very good from the first half. Where the Cards can improve in the second half, we're breaking it all down right now. It's Bo Brock, it's Alex Clancy, it's Locked on Cardinals, and it's halftime.
You are Locked on Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I wanted to give the Arizona Cardinals an extra score there. I did, but it is 17-7. Praterade, 26 yards. He put up the last score for the Cardinals. Colt McCoy seems to be comfortable at the quarterback position for the Cardinals. He's got a lot of help from his friends, spreading the ball around. Zach Ertz, you're seeing him make plays. You're seeing Rondell Moore in the mix. Christian Kirk is having a massive game. Was it 86 yards? He's got a pass that was an absolute dime to Antoine Wesley. Nearly was a touchdown for the Arizona Cardinals. And they're up 17-7. George Kittle right at the end of the half off the IR and into the end zone. Jimmy G's BFF. And that's the most that the Niners could muster. How many turnovers was it in the first half, Alex? It's that defense that's been so opportunistic all season long. It continues to be, and it's really set up this Cardinals offense well all day long.
Yeah. When we talk about ideal and not ideal, that was an ideal first half for pretty much the twos that the Cardinals are running out there. Chase Edmonds hurt on pretty much the first play of the game. Yeah. James Conner, 2 rushing touchdowns. Like, if it weren't for the turnovers, the Cardinals may be losing this game. I mean, the Brandon Ayuk catch and fumble was inside the 10-yard line. George Kittle, they were on the other side of the 50 for that, but there was opportunistic punch-outs, one from Byron Murphy, one from Isaiah Simmons. This defense is showing they're the best third down defense in the NFL. They're the 4th best rush defense in the NFL, or the 4th best pass defense in the NFL. And they've, total yards? 179 total yards to an NFL team in the first half with a bunch of guys hobbled on the other side of the ball. I mean, you take this 100 times out of 100, obviously.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This half showed a lot. One, that the Arizona Cardinals are a more complete team than everybody anticipated going into the season with such key injuries. I mean, if you had told me that you weren't going to have Nuke, you weren't going to have Kyler Murray, and you were still going to have a very successful offensive half of football against one of the division foes, I would have said you're crazy. But they've set that up. They've got depth. They've got a guy that can move the football in Colt McCoy, but he's being aided by this defense that we haven't seen in a long time, where they're being able to go out there and make plays, as you said, on late downs. And, when Jimmy G gets on a little bit of a roll there, they're able to knock the ball out of Ayuk's hands and turn the ball over and take away any momentum that the Niners were trying to create. Now, the Niners did get a little momentum as far as, having the score there late at half. The good news is, the Arizona Cardinals offense gets to come out, gets first crack out of the gates and once the team hits the field after halftime.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to find out, because if there is a 3-and-out here and the 49ers get the ball, we're going to be talking about a different game. Like, this is a game, we've talked about this a lot at halftimes of games where the Cardinals have played very well, but the game is still in striking distance. This is still a game the Cardinals can lose if they don't take care of business. Like, they're not 31-0. You know what I mean? So it's like, what you need to do is do consistently what you've been doing and just not expect San Francisco to turn the ball over, not expect there to be 15-yard penalties that extend drives that lead to points, which happened for 10 points for the Arizona Cardinals in the first half. Like, you need to continue to run the ball, need to continue to feed James Conner, and just do what is most. Just make necessary. The easiest play. Yeah. Just make the easy play and let the game plan work.
Don't hurt yourself. Easy. You're passionate. I see that we're having a little technical difficulties. Yeah. We're streaming this live. We're here at halftime. We'll try to figure out what those are. But James Conner, 2 more scores. Who had James Conner? Who was the betting genius that had him as tied for the league lead in touchdowns? He now has 10 touchdowns for the Cardinals running backs. Still a ton more from this first half. Cliff Kingsbury, he's flagged up as he's jawing with Josh Norman. You just love to see it. I want to be privy to what was said between those two. Josh Norman, who hasn't been a relevant cornerback for many years, and Cliff Kingsbury, who knows what Norman was said to the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. But what's been the biggest key for the Arizona Cardinals to get out to this early first half lead?
The defense.
Yeah.
Like it's Chandler Jones. You got to give him give him the nod. He's now the all-time Arizona Cardinals sack leader. I wonder how many days he was wearing that shirt. It's been a while since he's had a sack, but
it's got sweat stains on it. He's pitted it out at this point.
It's like a hockey player. Yeah, I mean it's but it's the defense. Elijah Mitchell, 35 yards rushing, Jimmy G, 140 yards passing. They've been in Jimmy G's kitchen enough to get him, off kilter. And Tanner Vallejo had 2 tackle for losses that ended up as big chunk gains. Like if there's one knock on the first half of the Cardinals, it's their open field tackling. But all in all, I mean, they've played well, and they are without all of their ones on offense regarding skill positions.
Yeah. I mean, Sean Harlow comes in, Justin Pugh goes down after Chase Edmonds goes down, and you're like, man, you can't afford to lose anybody else. And then you immediately see Harlow dominate Nick Bosa, the pick that went after Kyler Murray in the 2019 draft, and it springs James Conner for his first touchdown of the game. And when you talk about the first 2 defensive drives of the game, you have a huge sack from Marcus Golden, probably the most underrated player on the defensive side of the football in the NFL this season. What was that, his 7th sack? He continues to knock the football loose. And then you have Byron Murphy. He punches the ball loose on the next defensive drive to put the ball in the Arizona Cardinals' hands and back in the hands of this offense. All the credit to this defense. But what this offense has been able to accomplish today, as you mentioned, with most of their skilled players out, when you have no AJ Green, you have no DeAndre Hopkins, and you have guys like Christian Kirk and Colt McCoy and James Conner stepping up, you'd be hard-pressed to find any team in the league that has their second guys on the depth chart performing at a level that the Cardinals have had today.
Yeah, and the 2 stars in the first half are new guys. They just signed with the Cardinals. Like, I talked about this when they signed Colt McCoy. This is going to be very important for the Cardinals. Not only if he, has to come in and play, which you never hope that Kyler Murray gets hurt. He's another great mind in the quarterback room. And Colt McCoy can come in and win you football games. He can come in and look at what he's doing in the first half. Not making mistakes, not taking bad sacks, not making bad throws, even though the first one down the field should have been picked off. But he's running a football team like he's done for 20 years. It's the same thing. And James Conner and Colt McCoy need to be re-signed. They need to retire Arizona Cardinals. At this point, it's like Steve Keim's moves have worked for this year already. All of the moves have worked. There hasn't been one bust. Now it's, can you re-sign them and keep them? Because James Conner needs to be the bruiser for the Cardinals moving forward. If they don't want to pay him after what they've seen so far with 10 touchdowns, I don't know what we're seeing here.
Yeah, and he made a big play as far as, what was it, third down on that screen
16,
play.
Yeah.
He didn't look just like that bruiser that we've seen so far this season that's been money in the bank inside the 5-yard line, which he has been. But, Colt McCoy, 12 for 15, 145, just moving the ball down the field. The play calling's been incredible today, I think. I think this is one of Cliff Kingsbury's best work that he's ever put forth. I mean, as far as what he's working with and what the offense is able to accomplish against the defense that was able to shut down the Arizona Cardinals that was pretty much at full strength the last time these teams matched up. A tip of the cap to Cliff Kingsbury, and once again, we'll say it's great to see him jaw with a guy like Josh Norman, who I don't even know what you're talking trash about. I mean, come on, you've gone.
Do you remember me with Carolina 5 years ago, man?
I know. Do you remember that? You were at Texas Tech, and I was actually relevant back then, and I was playing big games against Odell Beckham, another guy that's kind of fallen out of relevancy as far as play on the field. So it's going to be a big second half for this Arizona Cardinals. What do you want to see from this team? Just maybe more runs, right? Just continue to churn clock and get out of here with a quick W.
Yeah, I mean, the offensive line has been as advertised through the first handful of weeks before Rodney Hudson got hurt. Like, no, Justin Pugh got carted off. It's Kelvin Beachum got called for a bad holding, but all in all, they're keeping Colt McCoy comfortable in the backfield, and that's what's allowing all of this to work. If Colt McCoy's got no time, he's a little bit more fleet of foot than you want to give him credit for. But if the offensive line can keep Colt McCoy off the ground, the Cardinals should win pretty handily.
Right.
Because that's the only thing that's keeping them from, that's only no interceptions, and keeping him off the turf should be a recipe to get the Cardinals a W and get the hell out of town.
Well, I think the other ingredients are, especially coming out of halftime, out of the locker room, don't have a 3-and-out. Don't have a quick 3-and-out. have a sustained drive, potentially get points, any points at this point for Matt Prater. I mean, if you remember Matt Prater, when Colt McCoy last started for the Arizona Cardinals in preseason, he had 4 field goals. You'll ride that leg, and you can ride that leg because I think your defense is good enough to hold the Niners. I mean, if you get 2 more field goals, this thing's probably over.
Yeah,
I don't think
unless you ask Mark Sanchez what he thinks, and he thinks the 49ers are up by 4 touchdowns. When did the 49ers become Dallas Cowboys West when it comes to national media buys? Like, this isn't like Arizona people like, oh, they're getting so much credit. It's always what the 49ers need to do and not what the Cardinals are doing. And I can't understand it.
Look, I mean, it was a crazy day in the NFL. You saw the Bills completely fold. They didn't show up against Jacksonville. You had some of the things that you thought were truths. Yeah, the Cowboys that were not. It was fiction. And the Arizona Cardinals continue to show, hey, we're going to win football games. They got to bring this one home, and that's going to be key. Second half is about to kick off. Arizona Cardinals are going to be with the ball. We have our podcast. It'll drop shortly after this game between the Cardinals and Niners. Thanks for tuning in. We're doing it every halftime of every Cardinals game. It's Bo and it's Alex. It's Locked On Cardinals.